And what it do, folks? It is your boy Charles Jonga here, and this is Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. I am joined, of course, by the incomparable, the immaculate, the OG, the Professor G, Mark Gray. What it do, sir? How are you doing today? It appears we have a little audio difficulty here. Let's check it. Let's hold on a second. Well, while we work on Mark's connection here, let's talk about a few things. Maryland does host Nebraska this weekend, this Saturday at SECU Stadium in College Park. We have Baby Mahomes coming to town, and Dylan, because he spits hot fire. For those who are Chappelle Show fans, remember that, we can go there. But as Mark works on his audio here, we are going to talk a little bit about the incredible letdown of last week's game of Washington coming to town, where Maryland had a 20-0 lead and ended up blowing the lead and losing 24-20 as the Washington Huskies outscored 21 unanswered points in the fourth, leading to a.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, the OG is back. He is back in the house due to unforeseen technical difficulties, as they say in the industry. Mark.
Yes.
You had you got update with some very sad news as before we came on air. What was that?
Yeah, man. Those of you from the DMV who certainly are in our business know a guy by the name of Craig Heist. I just got it from very good authority that he passed away yesterday. And I mean, you want to talk about one of the pillars in the sports broadcast industry in our hood. Craig was all over the place. He was everywhere. Not only on the Maryland beat, but, the Commanders, stalwart with the Nationals. It's a gut punch this morning, so condolences out to his family. And I just know that there are going to be certain ballpark spots and people that you look to see there. When that chair is empty for the rest of my life, it's going to seem kind of strange, covering events in DMV. So God rest your soul, Craig Heist. We're going to miss you around the way.
Yeah, it's very sad news to hear that passing Craig Heist. He's been there in that press box and that's park for a long time. But we will do him proud by doing our job and to the best of our ability and talk about a little bit about Maryland football. As I said before, we had to break the news about Craig Heist. Maryland is coming off a disastrous, I'm going to go ahead and say choke job of a loss against Washington, as Washington defeated Maryland 24-20 after Maryland being up 20-0 in the third quarter. You got to talk to Lamont Jordan last week about this, and his point was like it's a gut punch. How well they played the first half. The defense was lights out, and then they ran out of gas because the offense could not convert. Lack of running the ball, lack of key conversions on third down when they had the opportunity to score. So they can't do that 2 weeks in a row because, yes, Nebraska coming to town. They just came off a win over Michigan State. Like I said, they have Baby Mahomes, Dylan
Raiola, yes.
Yeah.
Dominic's son, a long-time lineman in the NFL. So,
yes.
You see the next generation stepping up and getting their time to shine. Unless you consider Shedeur Sanders, which is a topic for another show and conversation, if you will.
Yes, exactly. Well, Nebraska is looking like they are returning to the old form of Nebraska, but they're not the the pound the ground, running the ball, triple option Nebraska. They are more of a spread option, wide open offense with Dylon under center. So, your thoughts
Well, I
about
mean,
this?
you got a former NFL coach in Matt Rule who
Mm-hmm.
brings in, the sophistication and the techniques that he learned on the next level. And we're seeing how when you put a kid who's been groomed in the game, family business, you could say, is the Raiola business right now. Dad played for a long time in the league. So you start talking about Nebraska, and you're right. They don't run the football like they did. But, of course, Tom Osborne went off into conference and is beginning to lead a scary trend. But we'll get back to that a little later. But this is a guy's completing 74% of his passes, Chuck. And that accuracy right there is something that has to be concerning for a secondary that, quite frankly, I think had their comeuppance last week. And when you look at Raiola, this is a dude, I don't see a whole lot of mistakes in his game, man. And you think he plays for a guy like Dana Holgerson, who has some pretty high-powered offenses back in the day. They're going to put the ball up. If Maryland doesn't get pressure on Raiola, make him uncomfortable. I think this is a really tough matchup because I think our front seven, Maryland's front seven, that is as good as anybody. You get out on the wings just a little bit. There was some exposure last week, and when you start thinking about a guy that knows how to game plan like Matt Rule does, he's made Nebraska football something to watch again. They're just doing it a different way. I don't know if Nebraska is going to be a destination school like it once was ever again, but in the days of NIL and the Cornhuskers being the biggest show in the state, one never knows. But this is a very good looking Nebraska team. They always have had big guys in the middle. They got a more sophisticated offense right now. And, I mean, all you got to know is who's on blast. It's the secondary because this is the top-ranked pass defense, in FBS. So this is really going to be a significant challenge also for Malik Washington and the crew of receivers. So this is what you pay for, man. If you love college football, the matchups are right there. A lot on the line. Homecoming for Maryland. Everybody's in the house. Dominique Foxworth and his wife are going to be the grand marshals of the parade. So it's a really big day and a big moment against a big team that is ready to make its comeuppance, if you will, in the Big Ten. And I can't wait to watch it, Chuck. I really can't.
Yeah, this is going to be another test. The first test from Maryland was Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, they handled that test. Second test was Washington. I would say that's an incomplete. Yeah, I wouldn't give them a failing grade, but I definitely wouldn't give them a passing grade either.
Dude, that is how can you not give them a failing grade and they were up by 20 at the half? I mean, you're at home, you got arguably the top-rated quarterback, and if not your conference, America, perhaps, right? Coming into that game, you everything worked to perfection, and you gave it away. And I gotta admit, now if we do want to look back, there was some uncharacteristic discipline issues in the heat of the moment. Guys were missing tackles. It seemed like in the second half, as the game went along, as they got worn down, they couldn't tackle as well. And I remember that third down play where the quarterback, Williams, scooted down the sidelines, and the coach said that they had Lamont told us that they had the perfect defensive call, and he just made a play. But Dante Joyner probably has had a tough week after unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, a targeting penalty. I'm not saying he was targeting. It was a bang, bang play to me. But that was one that kind of I think that was that of all the daggers that the Terps took last week. To me, that was the biggest blow, and it was self-inflicted. And if he doesn't get called for that targeting penalty, you're off the field. You lose him. They get the ball back, and his absence was a significant loss for the defense. Not only the pass rush, but just the overall energy that he plays with. Can't make mistakes like that. I think that was a learning moment, a teaching tool. But this is a tougher an opponent from what I've been able to research to this point than I think Washington projected to be, because Nebraska is going to have a little bit more versatility in the things that they're doing right now, and than we've seen. What we saw with Washington is a team that has a few tricks. They just do them a different way. And when they got to rolling in the second half, Maryland couldn't make the adjustments. And what can you do about drop passes, bro? I mean,
true.
The one pass to Farouk, which was I think the last possession that Maryland got before they lost the lead, or were they?
No, they were trying to make a comeback, and that would have been the play that put them in a position to at least be within within the red zone. Yeah.
Right. So again, the mental errors to me, more so than anything. And I'm not taking anything away from Washington. Hell, you down 20 at halftime, all the way from Seattle, struggling just a little bit as you get to town. And what happens? You down 20 and you come back. Hey, that's a resilient effort by Washington. A lot of teams could have quit in that moment. They showed me a whole lot. I give credit where credit is due. But as far as the win is concerned, it was just one of those halves where they just opened up the gates and let the Huskers just roll through there. And good from Washington, they did just that.
Yeah. Well, I also want to say the fact that Maryland still cannot run the ball. And that was one of the reasons I think they've been outgained on the season on the ground. They've been able to hold opponents to a low average, but the other teams still continue to run the ball. Push the ball. And Maryland averaging around 3 yards a carry, 3.5 yards a carry, somewhere around there. And they cannot control the clock at all. Either been out, time of possession has been in the opponent's favor every game this year. Maryland's just been able to force turnovers, make them the big play on defense to help bail out the fact that they were not able to, like I say, control the clock and run the ball. So something's got to happen with the big boys up front, because Nolan Ray and Deshaun Williams are two good backs who they need to find a way to get these guys more acclimated into this game plan in order to take some pressure off of Malik, who seems to be succeeding expectations so far, but at the same time, he still is a freshman. And he can't
carry the team by himself just yet. And Chuck, I think you make an excellent point as it relates to the issues with the running game. And, as much as people like to be enamored about what Pep Hamilton does with the passing attack, at his core, he is a want to run to set the tone coach. Okay. If you look at all the quarterbacks that he had, particularly in college, there was a complimentary back that was able to do some versatile things for him. And we can't say that we know who that is right now. Terps are 18th in an 18th team league in rushing the football.
That's
the key to winning the games is if you can average at least 3.5 yards per carry 3 times, you move the chains. The numbers say that. Maryland is averaging less than 3.5 yards. They're like around 3.3. They're not even getting on average 100 yards per game. Why is that a problem? Because you didn't get it, say, against, what was that? Florida International, right? You didn't get it against Northern Illinois. You didn't go 400 against Towson. I mean, I think we have a glaring problem here. And far be it from me to question play calling or anything. The big nasties up front, pardon me, they got to start moving something. Isn't that what Uncle Luke said back in the day? You got to move something if you want to make it work. Well, they got to move something.
But we want to talk a little bit more about that in a second. We want to play a little bit of a clip from our sponsor here.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Make 2025 a winner now.
Right.
Not tomorrow, not yesterday.
Now.
Now. Not now, but right now.
Well, actually, tomorrow is big for the Terps.
Yes.
Seriously. I don't want to say it's critical mass, but everything is out there. First off, you don't want to lose back-to-back games at home, especially when they're conference games. Mm-hmm. Okay, now we're not playing any divisions or anything like that, but still, when you're recognized as the number 1 or number 2 conference, depending on what region of the country you're living in, this is a signature moment in this particular season and perhaps in the overall rebuild. You know what I'm saying? Because and I made those of you who've been following us all week know that I made a point that when I was getting to the game after a game that I called last week, and I saw folks leaving. You know, the team was up 20 points and winning, and fans were leaving as I was coming up the hill from Regent's Garage. And it was shocking to me. I was like, well, what's going on? Because I just turned the radio off, listening to Johnny, Steve, and Lamont, and I'm walking, and people are leaving. I'm like, wow, it dispersed so fast. It was almost as though people thought the game was on ice. There was no reason to stay. That's not the reason that Maryland lost that game. Maryland lost that game because they couldn't tackle and get big stops and weren't disciplined enough in the second half. But the semantics of it when you're in the process of organizational rebuilds are somewhat troubling. And I bring that up because we know that this is the Malik Washington experience. He can't carry the team alone. Who are going to be the support pieces that step up and help him? And it's got to be from the run game right now. It's got to be, because if you can establish the run, you're going to force the defense to play off a little bit more, and you should be able to pass the football. The offense is now one-dimensional. And I think the key, like you said, man, is the O-line. I mean, you have to get better. I mean, if you can't win in the trenches, you can't win. And that is a troubling concern for me.
Yes, you're right. Because if you can't run the ball, what's the old saying? 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yeah, that's over. You can't do that now.
Yeah.
No. Hey, look, Woody Hayes and Bo Schembechler ain't walking through that door, y'all. That ain't happening. No. All right. Now you gotta have a little bit of spread offense, and you gotta be able to find some seams. You know what I'm saying? You know, find some way to get to the outside. Don't let teams set the edge on you. But
yeah,
my thoughts are getting the offense. I think that is where the challenge is today. The offensive line, and of course the pressure that you have to get on the quarterback, and you got to bring him down. You know, I mean, that's just when you get back there, because Maryland got pressure last week in the second half, I thought, on a couple of occasions. But for me, if you're getting there and making them uncomfortable, and he's still beating you with his legs, I get the feeling that the cornerbacks might be in a little bit of trouble. I think this got to be a game where the Terp corners step up, right? You know, they because Raiola don't, and he's mobile. I mean, he's the best quarterback in my opinion that they faced coming into the game this year. Mm-hmm. All right. That was just pretty good though last week. Gotta give credit to him, but this guy, I mean, he got the whole package. I mean,
yeah, he set freshman records. Was a freshman last year, freshman passing yards of 28-19, freshman completion percentage of 67.1, consecutive completions of 20, and he's a sophomore this year, so he is what we hope Malik is going to progress to be next year. You know, as he gains more experience, more knowledge of the system, and has more game time experience. Because this kid, he's got. Let's see. Look at his run this year. 33 of 42, 243, 2 touchdowns versus Cincinnati. 24-31, 364, 4 touchdowns versus Akron. 15-21, 222, 2 touchdowns from Houston Christian. Against Michigan, 30 of 41, 308 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 INT. And then Michigan State, 16-24, 194, a touchdown and interception. They're putting the ball in his hands. They're trusting him to throw the ball all over the field, as you can tell with these games against, obviously the early in the season was against a lesser competition, but Michigan and Michigan State, he had the ball in his hands majority of the game, and he pretty much came through for the team.
And how do you keep an offense like that off the field? Well, you run the football.
Yes.
They've got to run the football, man. And you can't go into the fourth quarter and run the ball one time.
Mm.
They're in one offensive play. That was a run play in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
they ran only 4 times in the entire second half.
And Malik threw the ball 41 times.
I mean, and that's and trust and believe that players know when they're overloaded too much in terms of one tendency. And so does the opposition's defense. So it's clear right now that, all right, if Maryland can't run the football, that Malik's going to be in trouble for the rest of the year, because sooner or later, the same offensive linemen that you want to protect Malik are the same ones that you want to open gaps for the backs. Trouble is, I'm beginning to wonder right now, man. But what gives me cause for hope is what we saw against Wisconsin.
Mm.
I'm trying to figure out where the middle is. This is a very I think that's what to me makes this matchup as compelling as it is, so to speak. Because irresistible force, immovable object, something's got to give. And Maryland's got control of, Terps had 2 3-and-outs when Washington was coming back. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, they only had 4 possessions in the entire second half.
Yeah, it was.
I think we can see the correlation. D-line is worn out because they're back on the field, because the O-line was getting whipped, and you're not moving the chains. And to me, that's how this game breaks down.
Yeah, if you look at the comparison of halves from last week, Washington was interception, punt, turnover on downs, punt, turnover on downs, and then in the half. And second half went field goal, touchdown, in the game. On the other hand, Maryland first half, field goal, touchdown, interception. And then they go second half, touchdown, punt, turnover on downs. It's like basically a complete opposite of how they played the first half versus the second half for both teams.
Which does bring to mind, you got to give credit where credit is due to the coaching staff with the Huskies, because they recognize some things. They did a better job adjusting than Maryland did. I think it would be
yes. Yeah.
They made the better adjustments in the second half. Or as was the case with the long run in the third quarter, which kind of extended the drive, which led to the what ultimately proved to be pretty much the game-winning touchdown. So it was real difficult for me to watch, Chuck, sensing that you could see, and I was telling people in the press box that when I saw a lot of hands on hips and guys that were breathing heavily in the latter stages of the third quarter, and then they had the lead, I was like, oh my. And it had to be as even, well, those of you who saw our conversation post game with Lamont, it was a gut wrench. You know what I'm saying? Guys couldn't just couldn't believe what they were seeing. I mean, even the great Johnny Holiday, who's been through millions of games with Terp Nation or what have you, he was kind of dazed. He's like, you missed all the good football by getting here at halftime. I said, I was here for the game, though. And
I get that. I noticed when I got there, it's like I kept noticing it. It was a legit sellout to start the game, but then people just kept trickling out. I was like, where are you going? This is probably won't be the biggest wins this school's had in a long time.
Right.
Defeating a team that was into that, obviously not the same team because the most of the players have gone to the NFL, but a school that was in the national championship game not more than 2 years ago. So, like, how can you say, hey, we just beat a former national championship contending team? And you decide, no, I don't think I need to be here. I'm going to go home somewhere. I'm going to go home, and you got to beat the traffic.
Right. And again, you never know. But there's a reason that certain places look at the people who fill the stadium as the 12th man. In critical moments when you have, and there is something to be said for home field advantage. And sometimes that can give the kids or even the pro teams a bit of energy. And for oftentimes, if you talk to the right players, they'll tell you there is a palpable sense of when momentum is swinging. When the momentum swung the Maryland side, they didn't have the juice, in my opinion, or energy from the crowd to give them a lift. It's not their responsibility for execution, in-game discipline, remembering your assignments. That's not what we're talking about here. But we're just talking about the push, where your stadium, your environment gives you an advantage when a team is making a run. It may lead to a false start. It may lead to, somebody not running a route properly because they zig and the quarterback's head and can't catch the check on stuff like that. Those are intangibles that you don't get at CQ Stadium. So if the fans want to call me out, look, I cut my teeth in this game covering big SEC events. I've been to Athens, been to Knoxville, Swamp, all that. That's energy. That is a tangible thing that happens in the course of a game. And Maryland fan got to stop being, champagne and bourgeois crowd. You got to roll up your sleeves and cheer like you do for the Ravens and the Commanders if you're from that area. And Maryland doesn't get a lift from their crowd. They really don't. And that's big in this conference. You go to the big house, when Michigan gets it rolling, it's tough to get back on track. You go to the Horseshoe, Ohio State. Come on, man. After they dot that I, you got to cut through that emotion just to get into your game flow. There's nothing like that going on. Fans are a critical component to me, more so in college football than they are in the pros. But when you got a home field advantage in the fourth quarter and the opposition has to execute under duress, you got more of a chance to create a game-changing moment. Now, look, I ain't saying get violent. I'm not saying offer up disparaging words, but you can scream and add to the noise and give your team energy that, quite frankly, down the stretch, man. Remember how back in the day when we used to have great fights and early in the fight, one guy would be taking over, and then the other guy would deliver a couple of blows, and then all of a sudden he starts putting flurries together, and the crowd shifts over and gets behind him. It's a fascinating experience at a real good boxing match to see something like that, and that's what happens with the fans of the bigger teams in college football. A Maryland fan got to get to that place. It's good to have a number of students out there, what have you, but that and players will tell you, Chuck, and I had so many players tell me that once the momentum swung and the crowd got into it, it influenced, how the game went down the stretch. If you're a home team, you get a rush, you hold off the road team. If you are a road team and you get it and you shut them up, it drives you. So be that what it is. Homecoming, a lot of energy. Hope people are sticking around this week so that you can be that 12th man. That 12th man is a big factor around the country, and it has to be here too.
And like I said, in the words of Q from Juice, Omar Epps down here and say, "You got the juice now."
Right.
But quick word from our sponsor, and then we're going to go talk about the money line and some little options here.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
Make 2025 a winner now.
So what are the betting lines? What?
So let's bring it up here. I'm going to show you folks. Maryland is a 1.5 point dog, plus 110 on the money line, and the over under is set at 47.5. Now I'm not the over under. I could see it happening because Nebraska can put some points on the board, and when Maryland is on their game, they can put some points on the board as well. So, what are your thoughts of this money line here when it comes to Maryland's appearance? And this is according to, by the way, to Vegas Insider.
Okay.
The lines according to Vegas Insider at 12:10 p.m. on October 10th.
Well, I see that Nebraska is favored by less than a touchdown, which makes this a really tricky play, if you ask me. The over under 47.5, I'm thinking that a little too rich. You know what I'm saying? Just a little bit, because I'm not quite sure that if it breaks right Maryland's way, there'll be enough possessions for the two teams to get to 47.5. This is one of those games where, I mean, you look at Nebraska, they've got what are they, 2-3 against the spread this year. They've covered the spread twice when playing at least a 6.5 point favorite. So I guess you would look at it somewhere around 27-20 for Nebraska if you want to go with Nebraska. But Maryland is 3-2 against the spread this year. You know, they've covered the spread, I guess, in their only game when they were a 6.5 point underdog. And Nebraska's games, when you start looking at the over-under, they've gone over the total 4 out of 5 games this season. And they're averaging like a total of 50 points. And Maryland's only gone over the total once this season with a total average of 51 points. So I mean, if you look at the money line, according to the trends that I'm on right now, Chuck, Nebraska has about a 71% chance of winning, while Maryland has only 32. So for those of you who compete in those games of chance, please do it responsibly, okay? And if you're struggling with making decisions about disciplining yourself, call 1-800-GAMBLER. But this is a very tricky game, man. I think on the money line, I might have to lay a little something on Nebraska, given how the second half played last week.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see 1.5. It means that's usually the home team gets what, 3 points, courtesy of the odds makers here. But that means they can probably. I can see. This is a tough one for me. I don't know how. I don't know where to go.
47.5, man. I'm thinking I'm changing my position on it. I might want to take it over. Even if Raiola is marching up and down the field, theoretically, not giving up on the Terps, y'all. But if he's marching up and down the field, I mean, you're talking about the most efficient passer in FBS. So we could be talking about a guy that's hot, finds a little rhythm. There were some struggles in the secondary with Maryland in key situations like that post pattern, which was the touchdown from about 40 yards out. That was really the difference in the game. So there's some challenges to that secondary. And if Raiola is having a big game, God forbid, Terp fans, if he's having a big game, man, I mean, it's easy. They can put up 30, 40 points on their own. And I don't think Maryland wants to get into a shootout with them. But, I could see that going over now. I was thinking a little bit too conservatively for plug my own show here now, for some of the issues I'm having in the Sure Shot right now, which is just frightening. But, it's going to be interesting because, I mean, you check the numbers like defensively for these teams, and it's shocking that both of them are middle to the bottom when it comes to defense. And I'm thinking, are they, and I haven't seen any video on Nebraska yet, are they susceptible to the big plays? Can you get a couple early like Maryland did? Can you be efficient? Because we saw early in that contest, I didn't see it, but upon further review, Maryland's the script was awesome early. You know what I'm saying? The charted number of plays, and a lot of coaches have a sequence that they're going to go down, which are like probing during the course of the game. And I think Pep did a great job with his script. It was once Washington adjusted to the script that I don't know if it was play calling or if it was execution that got the best of the team.
Well, Nebraska leads the nation in passing yards allowed per game at 91.8 per contest, 27 yards ahead of Oklahoma's second. They lead the nation in pass efficiency defense, which is 80.55. So they are known to shut down the opposing quarterback. Yes. And the way college football does passer rating, it's like the numbers seem ridiculously high. So if a quarterbacks only have an 80.55 rating in college against Nebraska, that's saying they're not allowing them to do anything. So this is going to be huge for Malik to, I guess, they step his game up and showing like, hey, last week, like he's got improved from last week, because those few opportunities, few and far between, he's going to have to take advantage of. And if he doesn't, it's a game might get ugly early if they don't have the opportunity to get up on the Nebraska early, like they've been doing most of the season, scoring in the first, second quarter, and then having that defense, pin their ears back and attack the quarterback. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be tough. It's going to be hard for Maryland. But I think I'm going to go ahead and step out on a limb here. I'm going to go ahead and
Now remember, don't use your emotion as being a alum of Testudo to affect your pocketbook.
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna use my my virtual money, and
Mhm.
say I think Maryland can cover 1.5. Basically, it's gonna be a close game. I mean, covering at 1.5 basically means you're probably gonna win. So that's going to be the money line at plus 110. The over under, I think it's gonna be a lower scoring game than that. I think it's gonna be probably 42 points overall. I think both defenses are good enough to shut the other teams down. So I think it might be like a 24-20, like a similar score last week, 24-20-ish final score. So what was that, 44 points? Yeah, so I think the under on that.
I don't know, man. I could see a shootout.
Mm.
Because we do know that Maryland can, when their offense is clicking, play with just about anybody in America. Skill positions are phenomenal there.
Mm-hmm.
It's the trenches that concern me. And when the money was on the line last week, the defense wasn't there, and that definitely is very concerning for me, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was, and again, I might be reading too much into it because of what happened the previous week when they were dominant. It's just kind of it's strange to think that the same dominance that we saw in Madison when they got to College Park was just shredded. And in this game, with a quarterback of that magnitude, it concerns me. So I could see, they could put a 30-plus burger on Maryland if things aren't, dramatically corrected. And you can correct the discipline issues. And you can't have one of your top linebackers be lost for losing his cool. I mean, there were some unforced errors there, but Raiola is a whole different problem.
Gotcha.
Whole different problem. I mean,
Yes.
his passing efficiency says, NFL caliber. I mean, he and he's learning from a coach in Dana Holgerson, as we talked about earlier, that is a master at creating difficult offensive matchups. He's one of those. He was one of those gunning type of coaches during the days of what was once known as the Big 12. You remember those days? Well,
Yes.
Dana Holgerson was one of those guys that was out there putting the ball in the air and letting it air out. So they're gonna push the envelope. They're gonna stretch Maryland out. They're gonna look for one-on-one opportunities. And there were a couple of concerning breakdowns by individual players last week when coaches, I thought, had them in positions to make the play. And that's why you would never get me to rely on a bunch of 18 to 25-year-old kids, I guess, these days with the transfer portal to be my source of income, because you can set them up for success, right? And, they step on a landmine and it costs you a game. Such was the case in the second half when the touchdown pass from 40 yards out that basically put it on ice.
This college season is very unpredictable. You have, for example, in Alabama losing to Virginia and Florida State beating Alabama and then Florida State losing to Virginia. It's like it's human sacrifice. Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. But this has been another episode of Maryland Live.
Oh, can I give you one more stat to be
yes.
concerned about?
Yes, sir.
Special teams.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Let's be clear about something here. This is one of the best punt return teams in America. They're ranking 4th in the nation. For offense that can make big plays, Maryland special teams has to do whatever they can to keep from the chunk play like that happening, because that could change the prospects of a happy homecoming for sure.
That's true, and the punters going to have to do his job, and the kickers going to have to do their job, and
Kick away, kick
Yeah,
away,
yeah.
kick
The
away.
corners. Channel their inner Jeff Fiegels and pinpoint those kicks in the corners.
Yes. You know,
But
Jeff
like I said,
Fiegels. Oh yeah,
yeah,
how you feeling after the Philly thing? Tough
what you
night
talking
for
about?
you, was it?
We talk about nothing happened. Nothing happened
Oh, it
last
was a
night.
real tough night in Philly.
Hmm. Oh,
Not that you cared about the Phillies, but then
the
there was
Phillies,
that Eagles thing.
yeah. They played football last night. I don't know. I wasn't watching.
Yeah, the Eagles did not fly last night. No, they couldn't. They 4 straight tush pushes. Come on, bro. What's going on there?
And can't stop Scatterbo. You know,
It's like that commercial where the guy walks up to him and says, "I don't even know who you are anymore." What happened? Anyway, but I think that's where I was in the second half.
Yeah.
When I got to CQ Stadium last week, and I was like, okay, what happened since the time I turned the car off and walked up the hill? Tragedy. For the love of Testudo. Hold it down, y'all.
Serenity now. All right. Well, this has been Maryland Live at the Voice of College Football. I am your boy, Charles Young, along with the OG, the Professor G, the MLB OG, and all the G's. Mark Gray. How can they follow you? How can they follow you on all across social media?
At The Sports Groove. That would be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, however you get your social media groove on. And coming Wednesday to a streaming apparatus near you, OG Sports Radio, hosted by me on Sports Rap Radio Network. More to come. Follow me all over social media with breaking news as it happens.
Yeah, tune in to that. I will be there listening as well. And you can follow me, as you can see, my name right there, at Charles Yonga. That's CharlesNyonga. Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Vine, Snapchat. No more MySpace. Done with MySpace.
All right. Done with MySpace, are you?
Yeah, done with MySpace. It's DEAD dead. So, folks, catch up with us on Saturday as we will be at the game covering Nebraska versus Maryland at CQ Stadium. The game starts at 3:30. We'll be
it's on Big Ten Network.
Big Ten Network. Hopefully, we'll get to talk to Lamont Jordan as well. And stay tuned for the post-game wrap-up as well. We might try to we'll try again to do a little live streaming from the game. And you know the deal. Follow us across social media and everything else. For Mark, I'm Charles, Voice of College Football.
We out.
Thank you.